So I had the extra time tonight, and I was hoping to get a ban list to drop today so I could do a video reacting to the ban list after we did our prediction video yesterday, which, if you haven't seen it yet, I did put a link in the description down below, so feel free to check that out. As you can tell, I'm sure at the time you're watching this, at least as of 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, we have not gotten a ban list today, so we will have to wait till tomorrow for that. However, I still wanted to get a video out while I had the opportunity to do so, so I thought we'd take a look at 5 cards in the new Legendary Duelist Magical Hero set that are not, Magician's Souls or any of the 2 new Elemental Hero cards. Let's jump into it. Alright, so everyone's talked about Magician's Souls and Liquid Man. We know those are the 2 best cards in the set. But I wanted to take a look at some of the lesser talked about cards, and starting with Secrets of Dark Magic. Now this is a quick play spell that allows you to either fusion summon a monster using monsters from your hand or field, including at least 1 Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, or ritual summon a monster using monsters, from your hand or field, including a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. So it's neat in the sense that it's not restricted to only Dark Magician monsters, and the monsters do not have to specifically list Dark Magician as material, but it's also limited in the sense that you're not going to utilize a deck typically that's going to fusion and ritual summon at the same time. And if you do, it's not going to be a deck that's going to benefit from this card more than something like Super Poly or one of the more generic, less restrictive spell cards. It's cool because I guess if they do release support in the future that can make Dark Magician good and allow them to utilize both mechanics in the same deck, it's one of those things you'd probably look to and say, yeah, I could see this being played, especially because it's searchable. But overall, I think this card's a miss, despite having some cool artwork and some potential niche use down the line. Alright, shifting away from Dark Magician, we got Junk Converter, a level 2 warrior monster with the following effects. You can discard this card in 1 tuner, add 1 Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can target 1 tuner in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. And both of these effects are hard once per turn, thankfully, because that's a pretty powerful effect. Now, I think there's some really cool synergy with cards like Junk Synchron. I think there's good combo with the discard for cards like Jet Synchron, and just tuners in general. I'm sure there's some I'm not even thinking of, but cards like Crystron Rosenix and other, sort of non-synchron tuners that might work well as part of an engine to sort of set up combos, and this allows you to extend combos, of course, because it can revive any tuner. I think Needle Fiber comes to mind too, depending on how they're really going to make those decks work, but it stands out to me as a card that could potentially be a sleeper card in this set. It's a super rare, so hopefully it's not too much money, but again, it's Legendary Duelist, so who knows. But I think Junk Converter is definitely one to keep an eye on, and it could be a fun card that will give some Synchro decks a serious boost. Alright, number 3, we got Soul Servant. Soul Servant's a quick play spell, it's an ultra rare, and I think it's going to be neat, but I unfortunately don't see it doing a ton, at least not the way the deck is currently structured. Basically, look at 2 effects. You can place a card on top of the deck from the hand deck or graveyard that is Dark Magician or lists Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in its text, and then you can banish this card itself from the graveyard, then draw cards equal to the number of Dark Magician Girl, and or Palladium monsters on the field or in the graveyard with different names. So it could potentially be like a +4 at most, depending on how you get it to the graveyard and whether or not you're able to combo it with other pieces. What sort of has me on the fence about the card is that the Palladium monsters aren't very good. I mean, they're not terrible, but they don't do a ton for Dark Magician as a whole. And playing this card relies on having to get it in the graveyard because its first effect is really not good at all. I mean, it's technically negative card advantage, especially if you're taking something from the hand. But basically, I do like the fact that you can stack a Dark Magician support card from the deck on top of the deck and then draw. So that definitely is a neat way to utilize the card. I don't know. I like it. I think it's definitely got potential to be solid. And I'm interested to see whether or not Dark Magician continues to get more support that would make it more playable. So I'm sort of on the fence about it right now. I do think it'll end up holding some value. 1, because it's a Dark Magician card, and 2, because it definitely is one of those cards that looks like it could be really good with the right support. So I'm thumbs up on Soul Servant, but I do not think it's going to do anything in the short term, unless Konami really makes some more powerful cards for the deck to give it a central focus. Alright, number 4 is Smile Action, and it's pretty terrible. When this card is activated, each player can banish up to 5 spells from their own graveyard face down. If a monster attacks, the attack player activates its effect. You, the attack player, can randomly add 1 of your cards banished by this card's effect to your hand, then you can discard it and negate that attack. But if you do not discard that added card, any battle damage you take this turn is doubled, even if this card leaves the field. In short, it's bad. It's trying to create what seems like a gimmicky way to reuse spells. Maybe if you play a spell heavy deck like Sky Striker or something, the idea being, well, you can banish your spells, force your opponent to attack you, and then you can take those cards and add them back to your hand. But the drawbacks are so significant. One, double battle damage is, potentially critical in the sense that if your opponent's putting a few big monsters out, like a Boral Sword or something, it's going to knock you out pretty quick. But two, it's so reliant on your opponent to do anything. And not to mention, ultimately, your opponent can also do this, so it limits your ability to attack. I think the concept is cool, and they definitely could have done something with this, but it's not very good as is. And unfortunately, I think Arc V got kind of shafted here, because they didn't get many great cards, and Smile Action is certainly not one of them. Alright, and the last one I want to take a look at today, this name is just brutal. It is Ga Magician. 2 level 4s, you can detach a material, then target an Xyz monster in your graveyard, except itself, special summon it, but negate its effects. And then it has an additional effect where if a Utopic Future Xyz monster has it as material, you can detach 2 materials from that Utopic Future monster and target 1 Xyz monster you control. Its attack becomes 4,000 until the end phase, and its effects are negated. So I was looking at this, I guess in a way this card can help to set up Utopic Future plays. I know number F0 is the first one that comes to mind. I did a little bit of research, and apparently there's a couple of other Utopic Future cards that we don't have yet, so there may be some combo potential down the road. Ultimately, it's not horrible because you can still summon this, revive an Xyz monster, and I don't know, maybe there's link combos or something. It's neat. I don't know how much play it'll see. I think it's one of those cards that just by nature gets better because of Master Rule 5 because you're less limited. But I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach on this. If you can get them cheap, and this one's a super rare, it looks like an Ultra because I had to do a bit of a tweak with the graphics in order to make it stand out. But if you can get them cheap, they might be worth picking up and holding on to because I could see it being a nice combo piece down the line. I don't know. We'll see what happens because it is a cool card, and I do think it's better than some people might be giving it credit for. But ultimately, until we get those Utopic Future cards and people find out whether or not they're actually worth utilizing, I think it's just going to be a wait-and-see approach on this. So yeah, that's 5 cards from Magical Hero I thought would be cool to take a look at. Kind of a short video, but I just figured in lieu of a ban list discussion video, because we don't have a ban list yet, we'd go through these. So the set comes out Friday. I'm really looking forward to picking some up, and I'm hoping to have an opening video for this weekend's video. If there's anything else you guys want to see, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know if there's other cards in the set you think I didn't mention, but perhaps should have. What are you looking forward to getting from Magical Hero? As always, thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon, right here at Loveshack.